Let's stick with earnings, and in fact, Allcargo Logistics has reported its numbers for the first quarter, and a stellar set of numbers it is. In fact, revenue growth of as much as 65%. You have net profits that are up over 100%. You have margins that have expanded on a year-on-year basis as well. We're joined by the management. In fact, we've got Ravi Jakhar, who is the Chief Strategy Officer of Allcargo Logistics. Thanks so much, Ravi, for taking the time. Would it be fair to say that you had a stellar quarter, or is there also some element of a low base effect from last year on account of the pandemic and the effect therein? What are the key trends that you witnessed in the first quarter?
Yeah, so thanks, Nikunj. I would say that this has indeed been a very stellar quarter for us, and I say so because if you look at the macroeconomic environment, this is a quarter impacted by the Ukraine war. This is a quarter impacted by China lockdowns, pressures on inflation, talks around recession, sluggishness in demand. And on the back of all of that, not just year on year, but even if you look at quarter on quarter, we have actually expanded our business significantly. Our mainstay business, which contributes to over 5,000 crores of quarterly revenue, which is the international supply chain, we expanded 5 to 7% quarter on quarter in the volumes. Of course, on a year-on-year basis, that number is well in double digit, going up to 15% in terms of growth. So I would say that this is a quarter wherein we demonstrated strong resilience in our business. So while there were headwinds, there was a little bit of sluggishness in demand. There was a little bit of decline in softening of ocean freight rates as well. But this is a quarter which kind of, establishes the fact that the capabilities that we have built over the last couple of years are really coming in handy in making us far more competitive and allowing us to garner higher market share, and that allows us to continue to grow despite headwinds. So I would say that this is a very different quarter from the previous ones, but a very heartening performance indeed.
Right. Good morning, Mr. Jakhar. This is Cheryl also joining in the conversation. Hello. And earlier on, it was Alex. Let me talk about ocean freights. They've actually declined over the last few months. But if you look at the company's margins, they've actually improved. Apart from the cooling off of the oil prices from its recent highs, are there any other factors that are driving the expansion in margins, and do you expect to sustain these margin levels going forward?
So ocean freight rates, are largely a pass-through for us. We are into the business of consolidating cargo and running the world's most complex and the largest LCL network. So the ocean freight rate impacts the overall revenue, and therefore in the ocean freight rates would see softening, which has happened over the last 3 months, and we believe that it is likely to continue for the next couple of quarters as well. You could see a revenue per TEU coming down, but as we expand the volumes, you would see that the revenues would remain, largely constant. However, the bottom lines would continue to improve because we are handling more volume, and therefore we're making more margins on handling the cargo on the origin, destination, and on the freight side as well. So from our perspective, you would see that as the bottom lines continue to grow and the top line remains more range bound, naturally the margins would see an uplift from here.
I just want to understand the express logistics space. How has Gati been performing? And there is also some plan to deleverage the balance sheet. What is the status of that?
Yeah, so I think, Gati is well placed to benefit from the entire domestic consumption growth. And if we see over the last 8 or 9 quarters since acquisition by Allcargo, the company has really turned around on the leverage side. Debt, which used to be historically over 400 crores, is now within 200 crores, and that was largely working capital. The infrastructure has come up really well, and the whole transformation and turnaround program has ensured that Gati has now started on the path of growth. In fact, this quarter was the highest ever performance for the Gati business in express logistics. So we are quite confident about the continued growth in the express business as well.
Right. Let me talk about companies restructuring. It's actually been on cards, right? What is the update on the demerger of the business? Also, for the benefit of your shareholders, if you could quantify the potential value unlocking that one can envisage?
Yeah, so I would say as far as the process is concerned, it is already initiated, it is underway, and as we know, it has to go through multiple approvals. I'm glad to share that the exchange approvals, top shareholder approvals have already come through. We've already applied with the NCLT as well, and the first step with NCLT has also been completed. So therefore, we are in the last, or rather the longest but the last step of the NCLT process in the restructuring, which we believe should get completed by early next year, which was also the originally indicated timeline when we announced the restructuring. That restructuring, as people are aware, would demerge the CFS ICD and the real estate business into two separately listed entities, and those would find their own value and purpose as independent businesses. And the core business of international supply chain and the other two asset-light businesses, express and contract logistics, continue to and would continue to remain part of Allcargo Logistics. And as we decided in the previous board meeting and made announcements, we are also considering some further restructuring in the express and contract logistics businesses. And there's been an engagement with our joint venture partners in Gati, which is KWE. The approach is very simple. We want to simplify shareholding structures and provide businesses with the strategic independence and financial flexibility, which can allow businesses to grow independently and grow very well. So naturally, as we take all these steps, shareholders should also benefit with cleaner structures, simple shareholding structures, and independently growing businesses. And as you see right now, the way to look at this in one way could be that out of the 5,600 odd crores of revenue, 5,000 crores comes from the core international supply chain business. And I would say that that's the core business to look at when looking at the Allcargo Logistics performance. And you could see that there are almost multiple other businesses which literally come on as value-added businesses from a shareholder's perspective. And this demerger and the restructuring would create that opportunity for value creation for all stakeholders as the businesses become independent and separately listed over a period of time.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Jakhar, for joining us on the show and giving us a glimpse of the quarter gone by for Allcargo and what lies ahead in terms of demerger as well as the growth prospects for the company. And that was Mr. Ravi Jakhar of Allcargo Logistics. But on that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But when we come back, we will be back with your queries, so don't go anywhere.